Stories from the heart, stories honest and true. The one, the only, the human canvas, you. Hello and welcome to The Human Canvas, the podcast where we explore our unique lived experiences, exploring the lives of people from all walks, diving into their unique journeys, their challenges, their passions, and the moments that have shaped who they are today. I'm your host, Nicholas Graham Hall, and today I'm honored to welcome storyteller and video producer Chris Hennessy to the podcast.
This series is all about, talking to individuals and really getting to understand their lived experience. That's one perspective that I'm confident that we can own, that we understand, and again, that's our lived experience. And I'm here today. I'm with Chris Hennessy. I'm delighted to be with Chris. So Chris and I were connected through a mutual lived experience of each having babies born prematurely. Of course, for me, it's Graham and Reese, and that's part of the reason why I have Graham's Foundation. And Chris's daughter, Hannah, is 1 pound, 9 ounces, 1 pound, 10?
1'9".
Yeah, 1'9". So my daughter, Reese, was 1'9", and Graham was 1'4". So all these, and so that's what brought us together. And that was, you were sharing your daughter was born in 2009, 2025. I can do the math. I'm pretty good with numbers still, 16 years ago. But we've known each other for at least a decade, if not longer. And part of the reason I wanted to connect with you is that it's like we've known of each other. We probably get each other's, email updates of what we're up to. So it's amazing how you can feel like you sort of know someone, but I was just like, what, this man has lived a fascinating, rich, and a courageous life, and quite a journey. And I wanted to have the opportunity to spend the time with you today and learn a little bit more and share this with my community as well. So welcome, Chris.
Oh man, it's my pleasure, Nick. Man, I've known of you and we've known each other, and I've loved you and what you do for the micro preemie people out in this country. I'm just delighted, and to be here talking to you today is such an honor, and it's a pleasure. I'm just so glad that you have me.
Yeah, thank you. So, Chris, tell me. So you're joining us from the Bay Area, right? Yes.
Close.
Close.
We moved out of the Bay Area about 7 years ago. We're now in the Sacramento area of California, we're about an hour and 15-minute drive from San Francisco. I'm actually in a small farming community called Woodland, and the people that have lived here for 50 years think, oh man, well, it was, there's 60,000 people now, and I miss when there was only 25,000. But for me, being, growing up in Long Island, New York, and going to college and living in Houston, and then spending many years in the Bay Area, Woodland, California, within like 2 miles in any direction from my house, you're in the Infinity Farms of Yolo County. And we're only about 15, 20 minutes from Sacramento. So we're loving it up here, man.
Nice. Good. Well, it's funny. I was about to say, did you grow up in the Bay Area? And then you said the word Long Island with that accent. And I was like, how did I not pick that up? I'm usually
well, you know what I tell people? When people say, hey, Chris, where did you grow up? I say, well, I started growing up on Long Island, New York, and I'm still working on it.
Yeah, right. That I believe. getting all your updates. So, I mean, where to begin? So you started growing up, as you said, in Long Island, but you went to college in Houston?
I did. I was a very fast runner back in the mid 70s, one of the best in the world in the 800-meter track and field event for my age. And I was recruited all over the country, and I chose Rice University, Houston, Texas, because, well, it's a great school and it was a great coach and track program. And yeah, I found myself leaving Long Island, New York, and going down to Houston, Texas. And it was tough to be away from my family, but what an
Right.
enriching experience.
Wow. Okay. So wouldn't have guessed that in a million years, but look at any of us that people look at me and think people think I was a runner in an earlier age, and I was nothing at all. So wow. Okay. So you're in Rice to how was the remainder of your track career? Tell me more.
Not good.
Are we talking like when? Put us in a time.
1975, I graduated high school. And
Okay.
autumn of 75, 50 years ago from this time, I flew down to Houston, Texas to resume my track career at Rice University in Houston, Texas. Unfortunately, the first year was going just incredibly well. And then I had a career-ending back injury. And I tried the whole next year to get back into form. And I just, even now, if you have a back injury running track and field, there's, you can recover from a hurt ankle, but a back is different. And I suffered and ran and tried as hard as I could for a year, and then I had to call it quits. And unfortunately, the people at Rice had the integrity enough to keep me in school, to keep me on full scholarship. And for a year, I was really down in the dumps, and it was tough for me to move on. But one of the things I did in my life is I found other things to love and to be passionate about.
And so, and as someone that has dealt with and manages back issues, I say I'm not sure we humans. I don't know. Are we really designed to be walking on 2 feet the way we are? It seems like we all run into a back issue sooner or later, right? It just
Exactly.
But and I can imagine what that is like. Like when I have that experience of when I'm dealing with a back issue and I'm kind of out of commission, it like I have to reframe what the next few days are going to look like, because I know they're not going to look the way they normally look. And if I don't do that, like I'll get it can easily get depressed for a few days. And
Well,
so
back here's the difference between back pain and like a hurt knee or a hurt ankle. If you twist an ankle, oh my gosh, my ankle hurts. But with severe back issues that I've suffered from for a freaking half a century now,
yeah,
when your back is out and when your back is hurting, it's your whole self is
yeah,
is really in pain, and
yeah,
you really have to do a lot of soul searching and a
yeah,
lot of figuring out I had to manage it. I've
yeah.
managed it many years with chiropractic and massage, and also about 25 years ago, I found the elliptical machine. And before that, I had been walking for many years. But when I found the elliptical machine in the gym, it's like, holy crap, I can run, and there's like no pounding.
Right. Yeah, that's the
So
key. But back in
for me, keeping active helps my back.
but getting back to, that time in college where, your expectation is being one of the fastest runners in 800 meters, and all of a sudden that's gone. Um, So what did you find?
It was devastating. It hurt so much.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, for a year, I smoked pot every day and actually really enjoyed it. And I didn't really figure out what was next until when I was graduating college. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I noticed when I interviewed with companies that had something to do with sales, they all were very interested. So I got in sales and I became a successful sales and marketing rep from 1990 no, from 1980 to 1989. And I discovered that, dang, not only am I, good at selling and face-to-face interaction and making my clients laugh and making them feel good and making them like me, but also like when a company asks me to give a presentation and talk in front of a people, it's a drug and it felt good. But here's the moment that changed my life. The moment that changed my life was in 1986. I had two toddlers. I had Heather and I had Chris Jr. And in 1986, what were people doing in masses and groves? They were buying these new things called camcorders and filming their family. And then, I started finding when I started talking to organizations, and I started to find a creative side that I never knew I had. And when I picked up my video camera in 86 to take my kids, I almost immediately became addicted to telling stories with it.
Oh, wow.
And it was like something really came over me, man. And I had, very like nothing crappy editing equipment. I mean, the first videos that I produced were all like one scene after the other with no editing, which was challenging but freaking fun.
Yeah.
But that was 86. I started having people saying, "Hey, Chris, you missed your calling." And I started thinking, you know what, man, I don't want to miss my calling. Long story short, in 1990, before the internet, with literally no experience and no classes or anything under my belt, I quit my comfortable sales and marketing position and called myself an independent filmmaker and video producer. And I became sour on corporate at that time because I was treated like garbage. And one of the things that drove me to work so hard so I never had to go back and work for somebody else and be corporate. That was 1990, and I wound up doing that full time until 2018 when I retired from the schlep. I love doing all the filming. I produced 1,500 professional films. Thing I don't miss is the schlep. Schlepping equipment. Oh my gosh.
Right. I mean, equipment's gotten smaller, but then probably there's probably way more.
I got to tell you, the equipment in 1990, like if I wanted to put a light on my camera, I had to put a 30-pound pack around my waist to power that light.
Yeah.
And then the entire time I was filming, I had to charge batteries from my camera. But now, I mean, it got to the point where I had a light on my camera and a little like 9-volt battery in my camera. I mean, in the light, I mean, it just, and the camera, the camera that I use now for I still do film projects, my own film projects. I don't work for other people anymore. But the equipment, like it really helped me in my back to have the camera went from like this to like that. Yeah. Good point.
So question. So you're like, okay, I've had enough with corporate. I'm now an independent storyteller, film producer. Now, did you have to convince anyone except yourself? Was there other, were you were there other people in your life that were, you know, providing you with their judgments, opinions, and assessments of whether or not this is a brilliant idea, go for it, or
Yeah.
have you lost your mind, or anything in between?
Yeah, my father, so we were in San Jose, California, the Bay Area. My father back in New York was like, he was a cop, good retirement, and he thought I was crazy. And my mother-in-law at the time, unfortunately, my wife and I were divorced in the mid to late 1990s, and I've been very happily married for like 25 years now. But my first wife, she was supportive, and her mother, my mother-in-law at the time, loaned me $10,000 to start my business. She believed in me because I don't know. I think I believed in myself back then, and I was making good productions. But I'll tell you, one of the main reasons I was successful in sales and marketing, I learned the power of face-to-face communication with other humans. And I learned the power of networking. And I immediately understood when I got filming jobs and filming gigs, I almost instinctively knew to network and exchange cards with the other people I was working with. So if there was a photographer there, I'd exchange cards with him or her. Do you hear that beep?
I heard just a little
Something's
beep.
beeping. I don't know what it is, but turn on. Well, in any case, that early, that's what led to me getting more jobs, and that's what kept me in business was networking with the other people I worked with, going to industry networking meetings, and not just, people would go to networking meetings. I got nothing from that. But what I knew how to do and what I loved doing is going to people, during the meetings or during the dinner and talking to them and making them laugh and giving them cards. And that was that. I did very little, almost no advertising in all my years doing that. It was all, word of mouth.
It's in what it sounds like to me, Chris, is that was an authentic expression of you being you. Like if you shared doing what you did at an event with some people, that would sound like exhausting. That would be one of the last things that they would want to do. Not at all a critique or a criticism, just not, for their soul, their incarnation. I did hear just now just a little beep. Sounds like it's coming from your side, but I'm not sure. But for you, it just was. That's like just what there was to do. And it's interesting. I asked about what the people in your life, whether or not you felt supported. I think sometimes what I recognize is that there are going to be people in your life that it may not feel like you're being supported, and it really has nothing to do with you. It really is kind of based on their lived experience. It's based on where they're coming from, not really where you're coming from.
That's why you have to be your own person, your own individual. If you're doing stuff and you're doing it well, you start building that confidence. And at this point in my life right now, let me find a person on this planet that's more confident in themselves than me. So a lot of that is attitude, positivity, self-confidence. I have all of that stuff. And,
what if then, and, I've also, as someone who's tried a few things in his day. A few things have, quote, worked. Many things have, quote, not. I've come to have a kind of a point of view of thinking, I guess a point of view of, how well am I listening to the signal that the universe is providing me? And where is it that the universe is saying, yes, this is, if this is an authentic place for you to be curious, to go down, to put energy toward, and you're getting yeses, then keep, keep following that. Go with the,
I think
they say, go with the flow, right? And stop beating your head against the wall. This whole, like, I'm gonna make it until it kills me. I think for most people, it probably ends up killing them, or they eventually get the signal from the universe. But I mean, it sounds like, for you shared, you got the camcorder in '86. I mean, it wasn't like the next day. I mean, you spent time, obviously, during that time, making, using it, playing with it, making stories. And so perhaps, the challenges you were having with the corporate life was, again, the universe giving you like a signal.
No doubt. And you know what, Nick? Do you prefer Nick or Nicholas?
Nicholas, but
Nicholas.
Yeah.
The thing that I think a lot of people don't pick up in their lives is what you're talking about. We are just such a small speck. I've been reading about the universe, and now with the new telescopes, they've discovered like freaking billions of other galaxies.
I know.
I mean, we are a part. And if you think about this, think about that thing up in our sky that provides us the light and the energy, the sun. You're telling me that there's billions and like trillion. Our minds can't even wrap around how incredibly vast it is. So you think about this. There is so much energy in this universe, and it's been floating around for billions of years. And I think the people, like, if you can tap into that and you can realize just how incredible everything is, I just think that does help you know that you can do great things. I don't know if that makes sense, but
yeah,
man, we are a part of just incredibleness. And so many people drive around with their heads down, blind, and they don't see it, I think, their whole lives. And they don't do what they love to do. They don't do what they're passionate about. They don't find what they're passionate about. And guys like you and me, man, you got to feel sorry for that.
Tell me about, so, I mean, what you just shared was kind of tapping into spirit, or, so I'm curious, maybe if you could share just a bit, and whether it's, for you, or you raised a particular religion or a particular, practice, and has that been a part of this curiosity, this exploration of who we are? And I imagine, being a storyteller, there's that probably comes up quite a bit. So I'm just curious, again, your own lived experience, has that seeking or spirit been a part of your life?
Yeah, well, I've been with my wife for 25 years and married 22. She's got such a family, wonderful family, and we're Christian. So basically, we believe in God. And I, in believing in God, you have to believe that so much power, like I said, is in the universe. I think part of being Christian is basically just that I don't believe that everything was created by nothing. Whether it be a Big Bang theory or whatever. I just can't fathom, like, everything created by nothing. So we do have the faith in God, and we practice that. And, you know, my father-in-law has led the way, and my in-laws are like, it's one of the reasons I married Betsy is because I realized how incredibly awesome and wonderful my in-laws were. And, you know, we moved up here 7 years ago. One of the reasons was because Betsy's parents are about 12 minutes from us. And Hannah it's developed such a close relationship with grandma and grandpa. And, you know, and grandpa doesn't go around preaching about Christ and God, and he just kind of leads by example. So yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that more than once recently, and you know, I think Gandhi was credited as saying it, but I'm sure he wasn't the first nor the last. But it's, you know, let my life, you know, be my ministry, right? Let not, you know, just who we are, who we be, less about what we say, and just who, you know, that to your point, that energy, right?
You hit it. Less about what we say.
Yeah, we've got so much is lost in translation in words, but the the energy, the emotion, which I'm sure in that you know from storytelling. Like if it's just words, it's not if it's word, but if it's words connected with the energy, with the emotion, then
Oh
you're
man,
delivering something.
right on, brother. Right on. And you know what? With every one of those 1,500 professional films I produced, that was my attitude. I never cut a corner. I always, every time I booked a job, that video was going to be the best one I ever produced. And that was my goal. And, you
Tell me
know,
what it was like in 1990 to start. You know, I am now you know, I am now this person, and uh, you know, like who are you pitching, or how'd you price it? I mean, it just must have been it must have been something.
well, it was in a lot of ways, it was daunting, and and in some ways, you know, when you're young and you're stupid and you don't know any better, you can do great things, you
Right.
know. Like I said, I had the gift right away of communication with other humans. And those other humans knew what I was working on and knew what I was doing. And they liked me and they liked my work and they referred me to other people. I got a call. Excuse me one sec.
Yeah.
I got a call in 1993. And back then, we didn't get emails, we got calls.
Right.
I got a call from this woman, said, I want to hire you to film my husband's 60th surprise birthday party. My husband used to coach the 49ers. A lot of the 49ers are going to be there. Blah, blah, blah. So I asked, I said, you know, I thought it was going to be one of the coaches I never heard of. I said, well, who's your husband? She said, Bill Walsh. Now,
Heard of that guy.
Bill Walsh is one of the most prolific coaches in NFL history. He led the Niners to their first, second, and third Super Bowls. An incredible man. So I got to work his surprise party. I got to meet all the 49ers. I interviewed Bill Walsh and all the 49ers. And after I interviewed all of those people at that event, I felt a power that I've never felt before. Because if you're good at it and you're smart and you're not an idiot, and you ask Bill Walsh and you talk to Bill Walsh and you ask him a question, it's like he has to answer that. And I felt a real power in that.
Mm.
And I was really good at it, naturally good at it right away. And then I filmed a couple of other events for the family. They had me film some 49er events. And I used that. That's back before the internet.
Yeah.
I used that in my promotion for my company for years,
Yeah.
and that's just one example. I was at an event once and Steve Wozniak was the speaker. And Steve Wozniak is one of the founders of Apple Computer.
Yep.
Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs. And after the gig, my buddy and I walked outside and I said, I'm going to go. I introduced myself to him. My buddy had an iPhone and I pretty much interviewed Steve Wozniak on camera. And he was so incredible to talk to, just such a freaking brilliant man and just a regular good guy.
Yeah.
Everybody in San Jose loves Woz. And you think I used that in my promotion for years and stuff like that? Now, there was a turning point in my storytelling. All of that storytelling and everything I learned led to late 2008. Betsy was telling me, my wife, we had talked since we met in 1999 about having a daughter and having a Hannah.
Mm.
And we waited, and it was 2008. And Betsy said to me, I stopped taking birth control 3 years ago. And, nothing to show for it. Well, being a guy who loved his wife, I didn't really notice. I didn't really know. I was just enjoying the 3 years of trying to make Hannah.
Yeah, right.
Very much. So we went and got tested. And long story short, they said, your sperm count is low. There's a good chance you have prostate cancer. Your chances of conceiving aren't great. Matter of fact, your chances of conceiving are poor. Once we do the biopsy, you're not going to be able to father a child, and we know you're trying to make a baby. I said, Doc, can we wait? Instead of doing the biopsy next week, can we do it like in a couple months and try one more time for Hannah? He said, yeah. And I'm not going to tell that story, but we became pregnant with Hannah during that time. And it was a miracle. And on June 2nd, 2009, I was diagnosed with an aggressive prostate cancer. And on August 3rd of 2009, I had radical prostatectomy, cancer surgery, almost died a couple days later. It was freaking brutal. It was tough. I persevered through it. That was August 3rd, 2009. On September 1st, 2009, Hannah was born. Hannah had been due on December 7th, 2009. She was born just about 3 weeks after I had the cancer surgery, suddenly at 1 pound, 9 ounces. And something inside of me, like when Betsy said to me, when the nurse came in and said, we were at the hospital on September 1st, we just thought we were going for a checkup. And the nurse said, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. You're 9 centimeters. And I said, what does that mean? It means your baby is coming soon. I immediately went from clueless to I found this incredible universe focus where I was laser focused and I was laser positive. And in 2 seconds, I switched my attitude and my wife was screaming, she's going to die. She's not going to make it. Oh my God. I just read yesterday, Hannah's lungs aren't developed yet. And I gave my first ever motivational speech, 100% ad lib. Betsy calmed down. Hannah was born. freaking incredible journey. Nick can relate to it. Nicholas can relate to it.
Yeah.
But it was about 3 years later where I started heavily thinking, man, I think that story would make a good movie.
Mm.
And then everybody else thought it would make a good movie. Long story short, I had trouble writing the script for the movie. So I decided, you know what I'm going to do? I want to get the whole story out. I'm going to write a book. So I embarked on a journey back then to write a book called Touched by Hand about a man with cancer, his 1-pound newborn in their fight to live.
Yeah.
And I began doing a lot of research about things that I needed to know. And that's where I found Nicholas and his foundation. And I've been a fan of his ever since. And, you know, here we are today, man.
I knew, yeah, I remember the story. Did you feel, I felt like I was chosen, I was destined to be Reese and Graham's parents, you know, no matter what, no matter that I was chosen to be their parents, like their parent, you know, their father, no matter how it, like I knew that I had no control over how it would go, you know, and I still don't. And plenty of things have not gone the way that I would have wished or liked. But to be able to have the trust and the faith that you know it is going according to a plan that is bigger than we can ever understand or comprehend.
Oh man, that's so right on. It was such a huge, massive everything, like you said. But when we are able to, in those kind of life-threatening times, if we can be laser focused on the job that needs to be done and faithful and positive, and I never believed that Hannah wouldn't make it. I just never believed that. I've met plenty of people since then. You know, I did a film about 7 years ago, and this woman, kid was born. Her daughter was born 1 pound 9 ounces, and she was a teenager back then. And boy, she had a lifetime of really tough illness. I don't think she could eat food. And you know, Hannah today is, you know, one of the healthiest juniors in high school in our county.
Yeah, the outcomes are, you know, they're across the spectrum. And I know we're talking about Chris Hennessy's lived experience. Maybe I'll talk to Hannah someday. Tell me about. I am interested to understand sort of, you know, you going through that particular struggle, and I know that you know it didn't end for you there. You know, you've continued to have some health challenges. How did that how did it impact? I mean, you talked about the journey. You know, we're aware of it, and you in the book. You did complete the book.
I did.
And how did that impact your work in the world? You know, your
I got to tell you that, you know, like I told you, I retired from professional filmmaking in 2018, but the cancer experience, the micro premature experience was really a blessing in disguise. Without the cancer, I never would have become an accomplished author. You know, I write articles. I finished writing a book, which I'm going to talk about in a second. My filmmaking, everything became better. But my mission in life really became about telling my story. And all of the filmmaking, all the storytelling experience, everything, you know, that I've done in my life all came down and led to this the Touched by Hannah writing journey. And I just completed the book several months ago. The book is going to be for sale actually pretty soon. I'm going to do a book release event and launch event here where I live, probably the first week in November. But the book's going to be available for sale before that. And once you write the book, well, you got to remember, I started writing that book in 2012 or 13, and I just finished it several months ago. Life happens, life stuff got in a way. My father passed away in 2016, and for a couple of years, it triggered a mental illness. And for a couple of years, I couldn't write. I couldn't do anything creative. I lost it. Got on the right medication. It came back in 2019 when we moved up here. I decided I got to do something enriching for Hannah and her friends. And I dreamed up this cable TV show called Yolo YoYos. Now, we live in Yolo County, and I called my show Yolo YoYos. And I did it to Hannah and about 4 of her friends. We would go out, film stuff, and it was all ad lib. It was all going to events and just doing stuff, seeing what was there. That's always been my specialty in filming. I always come up with my best creative ideas when I'm on location filming. And the girls got so good at it that I would say, okay, I want you to go up to those people and do this. A lot of times we would do that in one take. But the freaking show became an award-winning show. I did 2 seasons, and so for 2 years I couldn't write Touched by Hannah because I was too busy.
Yeah.
But the first season, out of nowhere, won, because I tried to win awards in filmmaking before, and I never won one except like a local ribbon. First we became Best New TV Series in Sacramento 2019. And the confidence and the adrenaline rush and I'm an adrenaline junkie. That fed the fuel. That was fuel for the fire. The next year, season 2, our last episode won Best New Cable TV Episode. No, Best Cable TV Episode West Coast 2022 at the Cable TV blah, 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 blah awards.
Yeah.
And then I produced what was going to be just a promotional kind of trailer for Touched by Hannah. And it wound up being longer than I wanted, but it's like a 12-minute documentary on the Touched by Hannah thing. I called it Miracles on College Street. That thing was runner-up Best Episode West Coast. And that episode won big awards at the Manhattan Film Festival in New York City, which was it was the most inspirational film, and it was also top 5 documentary. And it wasn't really even a finished documentary, so that made me real. Yeah, that made me.
I want to make sure we're able to put links to those, so that those that are listening can actually check that out. See this episodes in the series and the documentary.
You want me to send you? I'll send you the YouTube links.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, so so in the meantime, from 2012 or 13 till several months ago, I rewrote my manuscript about, 12 times. And every time I rewrote Touched by Hannah, it became better and better. I joined California Writers Club, who's got branches all over the state, about 10 years ago. I've gone to countless dozens of seminars and learned, but I've also networked with other authors and learned from them. And then you talk about the universe providing for you, maybe God providing for me. I got an email from this guy named Cecil Murphy, EY. Cecil Murphy is one of the most prolific writers of this century. He's sold 25 million books. And Cecil Murphy said, you know, I help writers by by you being he was retired, 90 years old. He said, I want to help you with your book, you know, going through and editing it. And when somebody goes through it and edits it, they don't do any work for you. They just point out, write this better, say this better, write more about that, you know. And so Cease Murphy first said to me, listen, I'm all booked up right now, but send me the first 5 pages of Touched by Hannah. And I did that, and I was kind of dejected, not expecting anything. He got back. I opened up an email, and it was a wonderful life moment. It said, Chris, I read your first 5 pages. You've hooked me on the first 5 pages. Long story short, the great Cecil Murphy, who was probably not anybody better on the planet to go through my manuscript, we worked 20 months together. And it just happened to be at the time where I knew that I was done writing 12 times I reworked the manuscript. I was ready for professional help. He came into my life, and then, you know, I finished the book, and I'm so excited it's such an incredible accomplishment, because I really felt something inside of me pushing me to tell the story. I had to tell the story. And that's why the cancer, the micro premature birth, it was all a blessing, because it's made me it's a better person, a stronger person, a more confident person, a more polished creative. And like I told you before, there's anybody on the planet, you know, more confident in themselves than me, I would love to have a conversation with him. And maybe I am right now.
That's quite a story. It's an amazing commitment. Shows that how that you know, one of my teachers, Ram Dass, talks about grist for the mill, as they say, you know, that life gives us this, you know, stuff to work with. Like, if we're not, and you know, a lot of times that stuff doesn't feel like the kind of stuff we want, that we want to face, that we want to deal with. But that is the stuff that brings out the love, brings out the kindness, brings out the understanding, the patience. It has the ability, not always, but it does give us that opportunity, for sure,
to really understand life. I think what I wanted to mention was, when we took Hannah home, they told us, don't let her go out of the house for 6 months. You can't let her get sick. And I was in San Jose, and every day was like, in January, every day was like 60, 62 degrees, sunny, not a cloud in the sky. And I decided after a few weeks, and I did some reading about the outside air and how healthy and crucial it is to healing. So I said, screw that. And I started putting Hannah in the baby Bjorn. And I can't tell you how many times I took my little girl outside in that baby Bjorn and walked 2, 3, 4 miles. And, you know, when you're sitting in the NICU like this, attached to you're bonding with your child 3 months before you're supposed to.
Yeah.
Well, now I was bonding with my baby, just me and her on these walks with nobody else. And you know what, Nick? That's the time in my life. That's where I learned to live in the moment and cherish the moment. And I write about and touched by Hannah. You know, Hannah and I were both in bad shape. Chances are one of us both one or both of us wouldn't make it. But I lived at the moment. I lived in the moment at that time. And when you live in the moment, there's no stressing about tomorrow. And when there's no stressing about tomorrow, tomorrow doesn't exist. So I would just sit there next to her incubator and cherish every second that I sat there touched by Hannah.
Yeah. Are you willing to share about, you had sort of when your father passed, that was a difficult period for you. And you don't have to share about it if you don't want to, but
Nicholas,
yeah.
I talk about anything, brother.
Yeah.
My dad passed away. He was 80. We had just had, no, he was 83. We had just had I went back east for mom's 80th birthday party. And then within a month after that, he became very ill, and it was esophageal cancer, and he passed away within a few months. And that triggered a severe mental illness that almost killed me. It almost drove me to suicide. And I think, looking back on that, so freaking sad. Is dad, my entire adult life, I lived in California, and my daddy and mommy lived in Long Island, New York. And my vacations all the way through were spent, we would go back to Long Island, New York for 2 weeks in the summer and be with my beloved family. And I never really got to know dad the way I could have, should have, wanted to. And I think that really fed into the mental thing. But my Lord, I started experiencing severe anxiety. And severe anxiety makes you feel you're afraid 24/7, even though there's nothing to be afraid of.
Yeah.
I said to my therapist at that time, severe anxiety is our brain's way of trying to kill us. And then the depression, I felt like my brain was shutting down a little bit more every day for a couple of years. My energy, I couldn't work out at the gym. I was still able to get my butt outside and walk a mile and a half a day. And then, it was hard for me to walk up the steps. I couldn't think clearly. There was a birthday party that I went to with a bunch of people and a stage. And at one point, somebody said something, and I stood up to give a Chris Hennessy-ism that, like, when I stand up and I say something and I want to make people laugh, I can make the whole room laugh. And I stood up, and I couldn't do it. I lost that gift, and I wondered if I'd ever, it got so bad to where my brain hurt so bad. I've got the best wife on the planet. I'm blessed. I got the best wife on the planet. Hannah is the best kid on the planet. And I didn't want to kill myself, but I needed to get out of pain. And I just persevered for, I wrote an article about it. It's about 800 days I suffered like that.
Yeah.
And then, long story short, I finally, I had taken a depression medication that had helped me I always had like light depression my whole life. And I weaned off of that drug, and then I didn't want to go back on an antidepressant. They scared me.
Yeah.
It's not chemically maybe the right thing to do. But I found this psychiatrist. She said, well, you were on Cymbalta before, and it helped you, and it did. It helped me with my light depression.
Yeah.
I went back on that. And within about 2 weeks, I remember being on a walk, and I had this horrible fog in my head. You've heard that term before. Everything is foggy.
Mm.
And it's a horrible existence. It is just disgusting. I started to feel the fog lifting.
Mm.
And then I said to my wife, I think I'm going to be able to work out on the elliptical this weekend. And that weekend I got on the elliptical. I had one of the best runs I ever had. I freaking got through that.
Mm.
Never looked back. I had prayed to God that I could just have some more years with a clear mind before I die. And that's what he's given me is, unfortunately, 5 years ago in 2020, the cancer, which I battled since 2009, became stage 4 cancer. It's now in my lungs.
Yeah.
And at this point, I've gone through some horrific battles the last 5 years, including DVT blood clots in my body, including pulmonary embolism. I've had blood clots in my lungs twice, which it's a miracle I made it through that. A couple of years ago, I was diagnosed with pulmonary effusion, which is fluid in the lungs. In the last year, I've had about 8 liters of bloody, murky, disgusting fluid drained from my lung, my left lung. And about 3 weeks ago, I had my lung drained. And right now, my lung is clear. And it looks like the fluid, the fluid it's not hurrying coming back. And that's a good sign. I mean, in the future, I'll have to go like 3 weeks ago when I had the fluid drained from my lung.
Yeah.
It was drained and then I was weak. I couldn't get out of bed barely for about 5 days. And now I'm recovering. I'm fine. And I know there's going to be challenges ahead. And with all of these challenges, brother, I finished my freaking book, baby, because, because I wanted to badly. There's nothing, it was as bad as when I first started filmmaking and I had to not go back to corporate and I had to be successful in this venture because I loved creating stories for some reason. It's the same, it's the same thing now, man. And, life is a battle. And I got to tell you, these challenges that I've been through in the last few years and these horrific times, it's really weird because it's kind of exciting living on the edge. It's really pushed me to my potential. Cecil Murphy, one of the 25 million books sold, loves me. He said, touched by Hannah. I've got a testimonial on the cover of my book from Cecil Murphy saying, it's a unique book. You have a unique voice. Congratulations on, I've touched thousands. I've touched actually tens of thousands of people with the Touch by Hannah story. And the book hasn't even come out yet, man. So going through the last couple of months, I decided to independently publish the book myself. What a freaking daunting, incredible journey and learning experience. Oh, freaking MG. But I've been a sole proprietor for 30 years.
Yeah.
I had to do it myself. And now, the next few months are going to be the best few months of my life because I'm going to work my butt off to get media coverage and, all of this type of stuff and bring Touch by Hannah into the world, baby.
Yeah.
And then people have asked me, well, I'm worried about, I think Touch by Hannah has been keeping you alive. Well, yeah, I think it has. But, and we're worried about what you're going to do after Touch by Hannah. I have enough creative projects in mind right now. I'm 68 years old. I have enough to last till I'm 80 years old. There's no doubt about it. The sad thing is, it don't look right now that I'm going to be able to create and fulfill all those projects that I want. But in the meantime, I'm living in the moment. I'm living in the day. I don't worry about the cancer. I don't worry about dying. What I'm thinking about is my creative project, doing the best I can, bringing it to the world, inspiring, and I've inspired and touched tens of thousands of people. And I want to do more of that. And then I'm also really a fortunate man because besides having this stuff and not having a job, I also, like I've told you, I've got the most supportive, wonderful wife on the planet. Oh my gosh. And then Hannah is the most wonderful, supportive daughter. Having Hannah, I have kids that are 41, 39, and 38. Hannah's 15. Having Hannah brought so much incredible joy, love, passion, everything into my life. So the way everything has fallen into place, you can't tell me that this incredible, vast thing that you and I will never know what the hell it is impacting me. And I'm letting it impact me. And I'm having a blast with it, brother.
Well, that's beautiful, Chris. And we're certainly going to do what we can at Grant Foundation to help spread the word about Touched by Hannah, for sure.
Well, after this, I'll email you those videos, and then maybe I'll give you a couple of suggestions how you can help, or you can give me suggestions. But I can't tell you, when you reached out to me, I got to tell everybody this story. So I told you before, Nick and I have known each other for at least 10 years. Yeah. And I've looked up to Nick. I've looked up to my friend Nick because of what he's doing. I'm getting chills thinking about it. What he's doing for the community of people that have premature babies. He's helping them. Because like when we were in there with Hannah, there wasn't any help. My doctor gave me the best advice on the second day. He was a wonderful man. We loved him. He said, Chris, as good as technology is, the most important thing for Hannah right now is mommy and daddy's touch, mommy and daddy's voice, and mommy and daddy's scent. And I understood that. But what Nicholas does is something I've looked up to, and it's 10 years. So when Nick reached out to me, hey, you want to do this interview thing? I was like, you know what? Through the years, I've Googled the Graham Foundation and read all about it, and I know all about it. And I'm a big fan of Nicholas Graham. I mean, this poor guy lost a kid, and it's led to him helping thousands and thousands of families. I decided to Google Nicholas Hall, and I was just blown away because Nicholas Hall is incredible. He's a creative. He's an incredible musician. He's an incredible writer. And, I hope that we stay connected. And, you never know, mate. Maybe we'll do something together. Maybe we won't. But for me to be connected with you is something I've dreamed about and looked forward to. So holy freaking mackerel.
Somehow the universe, if I had reached out 4 years ago, it just whatever, it wouldn't have been the right time. It's always the right
time.
Right?
It's crazy. It's wonderful. And if you know what, there's so much negativity and yickiness in our world today. Well, I'll tell you, one of the ways I keep saying, I haven't watched TV news in 40 years. The only time I watch TV news is if I'm on it. I don't corrupt my brain with negative stuff. You know, it doesn't matter what side I'm on or who I love and who I hate.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hate them. And I'm not going to hate that friend over there that I found out that he loves Trump. I'm not going to hate him for that. I was brought up to know that in this country we respect people's
Love your
opinions.
neighbor, right? Love your neighbor. No, and Chris, that's exactly why I wanted to do, why I'm having these conversations, is that we all have our own unique lived experience. And I think so often we are, we're judging another, and we truly do not, we really don't know each other, right? And I think when we take the time
Absolutely.
to learn and appreciate each other, there's going to be nothing but love, kindness, appreciation, awe, right? Just this is just helps to remind me that every single human you interact with has this lived experience, right, of joy and tragedy and disappointment and celebration and gifts and challenges. We all do, and it's a beautiful thing.
What you just said there
Mm.
is a golden nugget. It's a gem. And I wish there was some way that you could sit face to face with every child in this country
Mhm.
and explain that to them. Because I'm so afraid, God, of what we're corrupting our kids with. I mean, I remember seeing a sign a few years ago somewhere that said, fuck Biden. And I was like, you know what? Man, back in my day, even if you hated the president, that was not a cool thing to do. And it's not. It's a horrible, negative, disgusting thing. And the thing that hurts me is that that's what our children are seeing.
Yeah. Well, then we've got work to do, my friend. We've got work to do. So let's keep at it. Let's keep doing, keep being, keep doing. And I'm looking forward to celebrating the release of Touched by Hannah. I'm looking forward to sharing it with my community, and looking forward to seeing what both of us continue to create in the world.
Nicholas, thank you so much. What a gentleman. What a gentle soul you are. And you've done good for so many people. Just keep being you. I'm going to keep being me. And you people out there that are watching this, you can do it. Yeah. You can be positive. You can make an impact. All you have to do is really want it.
Right. Thanks again, Chris.
Okay, brother.
Stories from the heart, stories honest and true, the one